Hello and thanks for joining us. This is News Central Independence Day special, and we're here to talk to Mr. Bayo Rotimi, the CEO at Quest Advisory Limited. We're going to be looking at Nigeria at 60, the economy, where we got it wrong, and the prospects for the future. Thank you very much, Mr. Bayo Rotimi, for your time.
A pleasure.
So Nigeria is going to celebrate 60 years of independence. We're currently ranked 26th largest economy in the world. There's a GDP of $510 billion. Is this worth celebrating from an economic point of view?
Thank you very much. It's been a 60-year journey. If I were to score Nigeria, my sense is that we should be doing a lot better. There have been positives. You mentioned that we're the 26th largest economy in the world. I know that we had set a target to be amongst the top 20 by the year 2020. So we're 6 places short. So yes, there is something to celebrate. But I guess we need to interrogate that position further. Has that growth been inclusive? Has the average Nigerian felt the impact of us being the 26th largest economy in the world? So those are the issues. By the time you break it down to a per capita and individual basis, you will see that the lot of the average individual has actually worsened rather than improved.
And this brings me to my next question, because if you just look at strictly GDP figures, that's why you mentioned per capita and all of that. There's almost 130 million Nigerians living below the empowerment line. But given the prospects in the 1960s, when the British handed over, Nigeria was a giant, and they had very bright prospects for Nigeria. At what points did we get it wrong? What went wrong?
A myriad of issues. I think we got the politics wrong. I think we got leadership wrong. As a result of those two, we had weak institutions. And when you have weak institutions, then there will always be a disconnect between your policies on the one hand and the implementation of those policies. So look back 60 years, look at other countries who were our contemporaries. Right? And where are they today?
The Singapores, the Malaysia,
South Korea. The Thailands, the South Korea, even the China. Where was China 60 years ago? Where is China today? Given the significant amount of resources we have in terms of human capital, in terms of resources, natural resources, we have no business being where we are. We should be a top 10 economy. And that growth should have been inclusive, such that on a per capita basis, the average Nigerian should be doing much better than they're doing today.
Absolutely. Now, global investors and business leaders are paying increasing attention to Africa. We've seen headlines in the Economist magazine and Time, Africa rising, Africa the next frontier. And they say Africa is going to have the type of transformative growth that has been seen in Asia in the past 2 decades. So what does Nigeria need to do? How do we become part of this? How do we take advantage of this opportunity?
Thank you very much. The world has always focused on Africa simply because of our resource base. And Nigeria has always been the major attraction amongst other African countries. So what do we need to do? I think that we need to go back to strengthening our institutions. I think we need to go back to creating the proper legal and regulatory framework. So what are the things that an international investor, even a local investor, will expect to see? They will expect to see clarity in terms of regulatory framework. So you look at our oil and gas industry. For maybe the last 10, 15 years, we've been trying to pass a petroleum industry bill. How do you attract investment into upstream oil and gas when you don't have a legal and a regulatory framework? So international capital is devoid of sentiment. They will essentially go where they can thrive and where they can earn a profitable return on investment within an environment that is friendly. So the government needs to focus on policies to attract this private capital. Then we also, as a government, or government also, has to remove itself from areas where it has no business being in. Government should just create the framework and allow private capital, local and foreign, to come into our economy. And you will see a marked difference within a short period of time.
Now, one misconception often held outside Nigeria is that oil and gas is the dominant sector and the engine of growth of the Nigerian economy, making it as dependent on global energy markets as Middle Eastern economies. What do you have to say about this?
Well, you are absolutely correct. The oil and gas sector is less than 10% or contributes less than 10% to Nigeria's GDP. But the problem we have is that 70 to 80% of our foreign exchange income, comes from the oil and gas sector, particularly the sale of crude oil. This is a commodity whose price we do not control. Even the quantity we produce is largely outside of our control because international oil companies essentially dominate that space. So whilst we talk about the need to diversify our economy, yes, our economy technically is diversified, because the services sector you spoke about is a major contributor, agriculture is a major contributor, but what we need to do is we need to diversify our export base and our revenue base. We need to sell more than oil to the outside world.
A lot of analysts will say, and I'm sure even you would agree that, a lot of our problems are not rocket science. They're commonsensical. Why would a country with so much brilliant minds have to deal with, it's almost mundane, basic things? How do we fix this? What's the problem?
The problems of Nigeria, the problems are well known. Fortunately for us, they have been the same problem we've been grappling with for 60 years. The solutions also, sadly, are well known also. From the 60s, we've been putting together national development plans. I took the time and the trouble to study every single development plan we've had over the last 60 years. Benga, the problems are the same. The recommended solutions are absolutely the same. Where we have always struggled is the failure of leadership, right? Because it is leadership that drives the implementation. So if leadership today in Nigeria decides that, I want to take advantage of this significant pool of natural and human resources that we have. You spoke about Nigerians in the diaspora. Nigerians in the diaspora remit $20 to $25 billion into this country every year.
That's a huge amount.
Every year. That is equivalent to what we get from the sale of crude oil. And that is just from a fraction of Nigerians that are outside. And a lot of them were educated within this environment. So for us to fix Nigeria, let us implement these things. Let us create an economy where the private sector can thrive, where local and foreign investors will be happy to risk their capital. Let government stop wasting our scarce resources on ventures that they have no business being involved in. Our refineries, the last financials that they released, all of our refineries, I think it was 2018, 150 billion of losses. And they did not deliver to the Nigerian people 10% of their
taxpayers' money.
Absolutely. So my view is this. Let us take on board the lessons of the last 60 years. Let us note all of the mistakes that we have made. And let there be the will, because it is the absence of political will that has gotten us to this precipice that we're at today. So from wherever this will is hiding, we need to bring it back, and we need to make some tough calls, right? The COVID-19 has been good because it has forced us to do certain things that we wouldn't have done ordinarily. So the liberalization of the foreign exchange market, for example, the removal of petroleum subsidy and electricity subsidy and so on and so forth. It's just that it is coming at a time when the average Nigerian is so badly hit. that the impact of that has just worsened that bad situation.
Now, I know you don't have a crystal ball in front of you. Just looking into the future and looking at current trends, a lot of young people, there's a huge brain drain in Nigeria. Canada is a preferred destination these days. Every other week, people are checking out.
True.
I remember the commercial, it was in the 1990s, Andrew don't check out.
Indeed.
A lot of Andrews have left the shores of Nigeria,
Absolutely.
and it's a loss for us. Now, looking at the next 60 years, are you optimistic?
Well, I am hopeful because Nigerian history has shown me that every time we get to the precipice, somehow we pull this rabbit out of the hat and we give ourselves a new lease of life. My sense is, we're probably as close to rock bottom as we have ever been. So my sense is that the only direction that we can move now is up.